Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. Today, a very special guest, someone I've been wanting to get on for a long time. It's Karine Jean-Pierre. She served as the 35th White House press secretary from 2022 to 2025 and is a senior advisor to President Joe Biden. She also has a new book out, and it's called Independent, a look inside a broken White House, outside the party lines. Karine Jean-Pierre.
Hi,
welcome.
Don.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. Congratulations on your very successful, independent journalism show. And I'm so proud of you. Congrats, congrats, congrats. And it's fun. It's fun watching you. I was joking around, I thought we were going to be on the streets or something, talking to people. But I'm glad to be in here.
Thank you so much.
So
from independent to independent, now you know.
Yeah.
And I am actually a registered independent. I'm not. I don't.
That doesn't surprise me. I feel like most journalists
Yeah.
tend to be, which actually makes sense to me. Yeah.
So I usually interview people at my house, but I was like, it's Karine Jean-Pierre. I have to be in the studio today.
No!
I could have made lunch for you. We could have hung out in my kitchen.
Well, okay, I got to come back.
It
Then.
would have
We're
been
going to
great.
do that.
Yes.
We're going to do that.
So you're in high demand these days.
Am I?
Yes, you are.
Am I?
How does that feel?
I think as long as we can have a conversation, and that's what I want to do with the book. That really was the purpose of the book, is to start a conversation, because I do think the system is broken. And I do think in this moment that we are in 2025, almost done, right? Just a couple of months left, it's scary. And I need to see a way forward. And I want us, people who are afraid and scared right now, to have a way forward. So that's kind of like the back part of the book, is hopefully setting up a roadmap on how folks can move forward and fight and do it as a coalition, do it together. And that's what I'm trying to do with all of, talking to you, talking to others. What's the conversation that needs to be had that's not having, and how can we do that together? Yeah. And so that's just, as long as that's happening, I feel like then the purpose of what I'm trying to do is working.
Broken how?
So I think you need a functioning two-party system in order to have a democracy. I took poli-sci. One of my mentors is a poli-sci professor, and that is something when I was getting into politics that I really understood. You have to have these two parties, both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, working in tandem in many ways and really delivering on the behalf of the American people in order, and upholding our values in order for the our democracy to work.
People might say that's contradictory. I hate to cut you off, because you're an independent now. You're not working within those two parties that you believe needs to be functioning.
Well, let me explain. So the reason I left is because obviously, and I have a whole chapter on the Republican Party in the book, that's been problematic for a long time now. We do not have conventional Republicans.
That's true.
And in last year, almost throughout the year, we heard about Project 2025. And obviously, I was hopeful for Vice President Kamala Harris and really wanted her to win. I thought she was more than qualified to do that. And when she lost, my thought was the Democratic Party would be in a fighting mode, because we knew what was coming. Yeah. And
even though the Republicans lied about it, Trump, we don't know.
Right,
but 2025.
But we know Trump has. When has he ever really told the truth, right? And so come January, after we leave the White House, I was bumping into people, seeing strangers who were coming up to me, and they were afraid. And they were saying to me, what's the Democratic Party doing? What's happening? Why are we not fighting? We knew this was coming.
I
when
heard
we lost
and hear
another,
it too.
Right? See?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, what's happening? The fact that, for example, they rubber stamped Trump's appointees. That's the power that they relinquished, the Democratic Senate. They just relinquished it without fighting, knowing what was about to come, knowing that some of these appointees were not qualified to do so.
Well, what do you say to them? Because you know them. You know Cory Booker personally. You know Amy Klobuchar. You know some of the folks what do you say to them?
That's why I believe the power needs to come back into the people's hands. And what I mean about that is and this is the broken system. I feel like it's too much in the hands of the White House, too much in the hands of D.C. It needs to come back to us. And we as people need to not be fearful, because fear here is the point in this chaos that we've seen the first 10 months. They want to silence us. That's when this past Saturday, seeing the 7 million people come out, growing by the millions each No Kings rally, it sends a message that folks are ready and willing, and we just have to continue to keep them engaged. And just to finally answer the one of your parts of your question, look, I was in the Democratic Party for almost 20 years, if not 20 years, and I worked for 2 Democratic presidents. I am now a private citizen. I'm speaking for myself. And in order for me, I believed in order for folks to hear me, in order to have a conversation, I thought, okay, let me be an independent and see if I can do this and see if I can try and help push the party forward by being an independent outside the two-party system. It's very nuanced. It's an exercise, but I'm having the conversations. People are asking me. I get to lay out what I think is happening, and folks are excited. Folks are like, you're saying the quiet stuff out loud.
Okay, well, let me jump in here because I feel like our journey is very similar because I hear the same things that you hear. Democrats, what are you doing? Why you're not meeting the moment? You're letting the Republican Party, the White House, just run all over you. Why are you supporting and approving their nominees? All of those things, I hear it, and people are frustrated. The thing is, though, is that you worked so long in the Democratic Party, right, to push the party forward. They may not be doing it, and I agree, in the right way. I think they're learning. While they're building the plane, they should have done it, before. But why step away from the party? And some folks will say this. I've heard stab the party in the back while you're.
Yeah, I'm not stabbing the party in the back. I worked
for when they're the only people fighting for democracy right now, they need your help more than ever.
That's the point. I don't see them fighting for democracy. I see them very quiet. I see them relinquishing their power. And one of the issues that I truly have is Black women are the backbone of the party, have been on the front lines, and I feel like we get taken for granted in large part. When you start talking about throwing communities under the bus, like the LGBTQ community, for short-term gain because you're trying to move the party to the center, whatever it is you're trying to do, I'm part of that. I'm part of that community. And for me, I want to see a moral compass. I want to see them fighting for everyone. And when we were going through civil rights, when the civil rights movement was happening, human rights movement was happening, there were issues that were not popular, that did not poll test well. But it's about humanity.
The civil rights movement didn't poll test well. Most of the country didn't believe, right?
Exactly. And they need to have the moral high ground by still fighting and bringing everyone in. When you start hearing them throwing LGBTQ, members of the LGBTQ under the bus, that's a problem. That's a problem to me. Yeah. And so the moral compass it's about humanity. It's about humanity here.
So you were the White House press secretary, the spokesperson, right, for everything, right? That is the most powerful, I believe, podium in the world, don't you think?
I agree. Yeah. And it is a visual that is so important about the freedom of the speech and exercising democracy and showing that around the world.
So folks are going to say, why didn't you have that perspective then? Like, would that have helped you to have that perspective then? Were you in some place? Because I'm guilty of it. I think I was in a bubble. I thought everyone was listening to cable news and watch. And you realize when you get out in the world, it's a whole different thing. People are worried about their lives and different things, and inside the Beltway for you, but in the media for me.
And Don, you say it perfectly. We're in the bubble. When you're in it, you're in the bubble. It's 100% correct. Even though we're trying to communicate outside of the bubble, because my job was, yes, to speak on behalf of the president, but go beyond that briefing room and try to talk to the American people. That's also, I'm representing the American people because of the president. It's all connected. We're speaking for them as well. And it is hard. And I would add misinformation, disinformation, the political partisanship. I mean, the political times that we're in, it's so, it's just so toxic. There's a level of toxicity that is hard to break. It just is.
Would you suggest that people who are sort of in your position, if you're a community organizer or a Democratic strategist or Republican strategist or whatever, that you step out for a while?
I think it's so important. One of the things I say in the book is Democrats should lead, any leaders should go into urban area, rural area, suburban mom, talk to them. I think we need to leave that bubble and actually hear what people are saying. Because one of the things that we were seeing is the economy was indeed doing better, right? We did get out of COVID. And we even saw consumer confidence go up. And we saw the polling and the data was there, but people were still, and the polling would show people were still not feeling it.
Did you saw my man on the street interviews during the election when
I
people were
did.
like, the economy is, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
by all
you
metrics
were
and all measures,
and you would educate them. I saw,
and they
yeah.
would they
were
just
like, we
didn't
don't
understand.
care.
And now the economy's falling off a cliff. Negative job numbers.
Negative job. We are where we were like in 2021. Like we are going backwards.
Is that a Democratic problem? Is that a messaging problem? Because you were the biggest messenger.
And I agree. And I think obviously the outcome of November 2024 was not what we wanted. And I think we all hold accountability. We should all be accountable for it, including myself, because it didn't work. And this is why I'm saying, and this is something that you said when we started, it is important to go backwards for a second.
Yep.
Look under the hood, kick the tires, and be like, okay, what happened? Because millions of people who came out and voted for Biden and Harris in 2020 didn't come out in 2024. They didn't. Right. And so something is wrong. And I do believe before we move forward, before we even talk about 2026, 2028, which I'm really worried, let's see where we are. We have to figure out what happened. We have to figure out what happened. And what I'm seeing now, throwing communities under the bus, I'm not seeing any teeth, I'm not seeing any grit. When everything is on the line, our democracy is really hanging by a thread. If not already, we're in an authoritarian regime.
Okay,
Pardon me.
The criticism of you, as you know, is like now she's an independent. She stepped away from the party, and I said not stab the back, but turn away from the party.
Yeah. Well, first they said I was stabbing the president in the back.
Oh, that's not in this book.
I know. Well, that was the original, and I was like, no.
So when you have that sort of perspective, what I wonder now, having the perspective that I have, why aren't the Democrats, and I'm not a Democrat, why aren't they standing in front of hospitals that have limited services right now? When someone calls them and says, let's just say
100%.
Fox News or
100%.
CNN or MSNBC or whatever calls and says, can you do an interview? Yes, but I want to do it in front of Metropolitan Hospital.
I've said the same thing.
This hospital is unlimited or whatever, or it's closed because the Republicans or whatever.
I have said the same thing.
Or why aren't they standing in front of an airport and say, this airport was on hold. There are 1,500 flights that have been whatever because, why aren't they doing
because of the government shutdown? Yeah, I have actually said that when people
hold on, or going into neighborhoods where they're picking up moms in carpool lines. Yeah. Why aren't you at those schools saying with the Democratic canvassers saying? Is this what you voted for? Yeah. You supported Donald Trump, and this is what he's doing to moms really picking up vote. You need to vote Democrat. Yeah. The election starts now. Yeah. Sorry, go.
No, those examples are actually, some of them I've given them when people have asked me, well, what should they do? What should Democrats do? I said, number one, be an opposition party because this is not normal times. Right. And so you have to behave as if, you know what? We're in this fight. And we're going to do it from the ground up, and we're going to bring people with us. And that was one of the things that I've said. I mean, look, the hospitals, I said that too, which is some of these hospitals are going to shut down. Right. Some of these nursing homes are going to shut down because of GOP hikes. Why are they not doing press conferences there to make that very clear? You want to talk to Republicans? Go into a red district and go talk to a Republican and let them know, hey, here's where the economy. This is where
they doing it?
I don't know. And
they have time off. There's nothing.
And even with, even with the No Kings rally, those are only being held by outside groups.
Right. And at an appointed time. It's not. I'm shocked that people aren't in the streets right now. Yeah. When I see the video of people just being rounded up without due process, and they're saying it's non-citizens.
It was in a canal,
Canal Street.
Just yesterday I saw a video of that.
Rounding up vendors. Yeah. But it's not just undocumented people. I have interviewed American citizens.
I saw this. You went to Chicago.
Yes,
I saw this. Yeah. American citizens are being rounded up, brown and black. people
Yep.
more broadly,
Yep.
and it includes American citizens. As you said, there was a kid saying, "I'm an American citizen. I'm American citizen," and it didn't matter. The fact that people are saying to us, "You need to carry a passport." This is traveling
Show me your papers.
within the states.
I know.
Not going abroad. We have to now carry our passports. I carry my passport with me all
If
the
they
time.
look at it, Karine, because they won't. I interviewed a man who
100%.
said, I had my birth certificate, I
100%.
had my state ID
100%.
card,
Yep, I
and my
saw
social
that.
security card. They didn't want to look
No,
at it. 10 hours he was in detention.
Yeah. It's like after the fact. Due process, maybe you'll get it.
I did a show this week with a "Don't Tread on Me" sign. And I said, what happened to the people who said "Don't tread on me"? I had a sign behind me. I said, what happened to those people? Is it just for white guys who drive big trucks?
Yeah.
Or is it for everyone? Because the Constitution says about due process, all persons.
All persons
Not
indeed.
just citizens. So the perspective that you have, two things that I'm combining two things here.
Okay.
The perspective that you have now that you've stepped away. And if you've read, I'm sure, the vice president's book, or you've heard about the vice president's book.
Yeah,
And she talked
definitely
about
heard
how
it.
she felt she was treated within the party.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. Do you feel that you served the president well?
I feel that I served the president to the best of my abilities. It was an honor and a privilege to have been White House press secretary. And I don't think I would have been White House press secretary if it wasn't for Joe Biden appointing me in that position and understanding the importance of having me in that position. I was not perfect. Like I said, I hold myself to account for some things as well, not just the Democratic Party. But I did it to my best of my abilities. I worked really, really, really hard to do the job.
I wanted you to cuss some people out. Sometimes.
You and probably a million other people. I hear this all the time.
But I found that I thought that people were very disrespectful of you at points, and I would have, and I loved it when you said, hold on, to some of the folks. But then I actually thought sometimes the most respectful person was a person from Fox News. You guys got into it, but it never seemed like you were.
No.
It never was antagonistic. But some people, I'm like, what? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was very.
It was shocking. It was very shocking.
What do you think that is?
I think that's for people to really read the book, think about it, and figure it out. Look, I will say this more broadly, because I don't think it was everybody in the room, but when you are a first, just speaking in generalities, right? When you're a first and you're breaking that ceiling, one of the things is people have never seen someone that looks like you doing that job.
Yep.
And it sometimes it shakes them a little bit, or they don't know how to behave or react to that.
Yeah.
And also, so there's that piece of it, and then the other piece of it too is you're put on a different, in a different level.
The
meaning
rules are different.
Right. You have to be perfect. You can't slip up and say one word. You can't say tomato instead of tomato. You know what I mean? You can't. You are just held to a different standard, and that is just true. I don't care if you're in corporate America. I don't care if you're in media. It is just the way that rolls.
Do you think it's because you're black? Part of it.
Look, I think, again, this is speaking in generalities, it is something that happens to people who are first. It is something that we are, I think, very accustomed to understanding, that we have to be mindful.
I think it was.
We
part
have to
of
be mindful.
I think it was. Come on, I think that. Look, I don't know about being a member of the LGBTQ family, which I am and you are, but I don't know how much that played into it.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, the rules are different, and it's easier to criticize us. Most of the criticism of me and most of the criticism of you, I found it was based on racism, and for me, racism and homophobia. Because it's always a thing. Like, they either go to the DEI hire or they start, saying negative things
they're
about
trying to get rid
sexuality.
of DEI all over the place, right?
But
Project 2025.
I see Caroline Levitt now, and I mean, basically, she's like barking orders, and they're like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." Like, what? Why no pushback?
That's something that they need to answer to.
Why no pushback?
Something that they need to speak to. That is for them in the room to speak to that. It really is.
Are you shocked by that? When you watch those, do you watch the press conferences?
First of all, I don't watch them. I haven't watched a daily briefing since I left. I do see viral clips, obviously, that are out there. And what I will say is, one thing that we did in the Biden-Harris administration and other administration, regardless if there's an R or a D after their names, I believe, is when you are in that press briefing room, you are exercising in the freedom of the press. You are exercising in democracy, and no administration loves the press. I mean, that's not the point, because their job is to hold us, and as you know, hold us to account, hold the powerful people to account. And so it's healthy to have a back and forth. It's healthy to neither side to like each other, but there has to be a decorum and a level of respect. And when
it goes both ways.
It goes both
I
ways.
feel that she's very disrespectful of the press.
Oh, no, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, you have to have some level of respect for both ways. And when you don't have that, then that turns into some sort of weird state TV for a very small percentage of the population that you're speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it becomes like this weird online trolling.
Yeah.
And so that, to me, is dangerous. And it's part of the larger problem of what's happening right now with our democracy being eroded.
First Amendment.
I mean,
It's crazy.
None of us have seen anything like that before.
When they pull the AP's press, were you like?
We would never have. We would never have done that. No other administration would ever have done that. Again, you respect the freedom of the press. And then I was like, well, if we had done that, my gosh.
Can you imagine?
And I have, sometimes I see things that I have no words, because I cannot fathom that happening in our administration or any other administration, because there has to be a respect for the freedom of the press. Because again, it's not just Americans watching, it's other heads of states watching what the United. One of the things I learned in the job is so many people around the world watch what we do.
Yeah.
Watch what the United, because we lead in so many areas. Yeah. And what we do sends a message to whether it's a dictator or someone who's running a democratic country.
Karine, they know it's a show. I have to give it to them. Donald Trump knows it's a show, and he produces several different shows every day, whether it's at the briefing room, and then it's the press op or whatever, photo op in the
all the time.
In the Oval Office, whatever.
Office, all the time. Or about to go in Marine. I mean, everything is a game.
Talk to me about the East Wing.
That's heartbreaking.
When you see those pictures, what do you think?
I do.
Backhoes and bulldozers.
When I first saw it, I thought to myself, oh, that can't be real. Like, I didn't believe it at first. And then I was like, I had to dig in and look to see if this was real, and it was. And there is no greater metaphor right now to what Donald Trump is doing to this country than seeing that wrecking ball going right into the East Wing.
So let's talk about Joe Biden. People said that you had stabbed Joe Biden in the back.
Yeah, which I would never have. I've known him since 2009.
So I think it was the Juneteenth. Was it when Gladys Knight and Patti
Yeah, I think
LaBelle?
It was the last one.
Okay,
yeah.
So I saw you guys. I was there, and I walked around and I looked at you guys sitting on the front row. And
that was the first one. That was the first one, because I don't think I did the second one because it was just so crazy.
Okay, but it was a last. It was during the election.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so maybe the vice president. I'm not sure if you were there, but I looked and I said, "Man, Joe Biden looks tired. President Biden looks tired." And he was just kind of standing there. Did you, and I know you've said you haven't, but did you at any point say, he's working too hard, he's tired?
I have to tell you, I was tired. Like, seriously, I was exhausted and tired. And if you're talking about June 19th, I think we had just traveled. I think we just came abroad. We were doing Europe a couple times. We were traveling a lot. I was tired. I was. And so I would not be surprised if he was tired. I mean, being president of the United States is an exhausting job for everyone who's held it.
He was barely reactive when I saw him, Karine.
Except the current one.
He was just kind of standing there and I was like, something's different about him. And I'm not saying that he was incapacitated, but...
Yeah, here's what I can only speak from my truth and what I have seen. I have seen a president, and I saw him on a daily basis as his White House press secretary. He would call me in. We would talk about what was in the news. He would, ask about a particular story that he saw, wanted to make sure whatever we had announced was landing in stories. And obviously, that was a comm press operation there, not just my team. And he was someone who was always engaged.
Do you think you were too close to it? Because sometimes when you see people, I'll see my mom.
Yeah.
And then I won't see her for, 6, 8 months.
Somebody was giving me this example
and then
the
I'll
other
say,
day.
oh, mom, like she looks smaller. Or, and I'm sure people, when they see me, like, oh, he's aged or whatever. But when you see someone every single day, you don't notice those things. Do you think you were too close to it?
I know that he's aged. I've known him since 2009. He's not the same
We all
person.
do.
Right, we all age.
Yeah.
So that's not the question of aging and looking different and changing. I mean, I'm not denying what people saw. I'm just saying that he was very much aware and alert and very much, there when I would be talking to him and we would be talking about issues of the day, politics of the day. And what I mean is like news of the day, if you will. The way it's been depicted is like as someone who is just not there at all. And that is not what I saw. That is not what I experienced with him. Did he age? Of course he did. I'm not going to deny that. He did age. And with age comes stumbling in words and physical changes. That happened. It happened right before our eyes. For those of us, if you think about not even, some folks don't even really remember Senator Joe Biden because it feels so long ago now. But they saw him as vice president. They saw him obviously as president. And he did change physically. He did.
Do you think he was up to the job at the end?
I think objectively, if you look at the 3-4 years of his presidency, of Joe Biden's presidency, we did more than some presidents had done. And this is objectively.
No,
this
I mean,
others,
look, the country was in a much better place when he was president. I'm not denying it. I'm saying moving forward to run again and 4 more years.
So that part, that's a hypothetical that I can't really say. I could only speak to the moment that we were in. And I believe that in the moment that we were in, he was doing the job in one of the most effective ways. And that's history. That's like historians, that's not just me, Karine Jean-Pierre, on a personal level. That is what we saw being delivered from this administration. He did it in a way that was caring, that was smart, that brought experience and the understanding of policy. If I can't say what the future would have looked like, I just don't know.
Do you feel like, I feel like he treated you like a family member and you as well as treated him. I had to have a talk with my mom. I was like, Mom, I've observed you and I've watched you since you've been staying with me. And let me tell you what my concerns are about you living alone, blah, 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 blah. Were you ever concerned? Do you wish you had said something
I have to tell you, Don, I was never concerned.
Okay.
I really, really wasn't. Again, I saw him on a daily basis engaging with me and he was the president of the United States. So there's a level of respect that
Do you still
give
talk to him?
He called me a couple of weeks ago and he called to check in on me and to see how I was doing.
How's he doing?
He's doing fine. He's doing fine. And I said to him, please take care of yourself. And he said, I will. And I am. So
the second part of it, I said, do you think you served the president well? Do you think the president and the administration served you well?
I think the president served me well. I think in broad stroke, the administration served me well. I think there were certain people who would rather that I wasn't there, and it made things difficult. As you know, there were stories out there constantly, nonstop, and it didn't come from.
Don't I know?
Yeah, it didn't come from hundreds of people, right? It came from a handful of people, and I do truly mean that when I say this, I mean this, which is it was one of the best experiences that I've ever had, and it was an honor and a privilege. But there were some tough moments. I'm not going to deny that. There were some tough moments and some tough folks that I had to deal with. And that's just a reality.
Let me just ask you, do you think they served the vice president well? Do you think the Joe Biden administration served the vice president well?
So I'll say this. I have not read the vice president's book. I am incredibly proud of her leadership and what she was able to accomplish, not just as vice president, obviously at the top of the ticket as the nominee. And I'm glad she wrote her book. I think it's important that we hear her truth and we hear her voice. And I think we have to learn from what she is sharing in this book. And all I can speak to is for me and what I was hopefully able to do for her, especially when she was running for president at the podium and defending her, some moments even going viral. And I hope that I did the best for her on her behalf. And it's her story to tell. And she experienced this very, very personally. And again, she's a first, right? She's a first. And so it does not surprise me that she had experiences the way that she explains it. It does not surprise. And I would never deny her that.
Right.
I would never deny her that.
Would you do anything differently?
As White House press secretary?
Yeah, if you're looking back, having this
I
perspective.
think so. I think in all of our careers and different lives that we have in our careers and whatever it is that we're doing.
I should say,
Oh,
what would you do differently? I should have.
Oh, what would I do differently? What would I do differently? Wow, that's such a good question. I think there's a list. I just want to be really smart as to what I would have done, but I don't know. Work harder. I don't know. I think I would have. There's always times where you're like, oh man, maybe I should have, talked to the president about this before doing this. I don't know. Maybe I should have, I don't know. There are things that I will definitely. I think they're so. Not granular, but they're not like broad, right? They're probably more like logistical, more granular, practical things than less like, oh my God, this is a reimagining of things and it would have changed everything. It would have been so big.
As a spokesperson for the White House and the president, this is the last question.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's legacy.
Wow. I think Joe Biden's legacy is pretty broad in the sense of coming into COVID, getting us out of COVID in a way that was effective and quick and didn't forget communities that would normally been forgotten, turning around the economy. But I also think the administration that he built, it being the most diverse administration in modern times, I think it's important because the message that it sent was we need everybody's voices. America is truly, truly a melting pot at this point, and it's important to have everybody's voices and everybody feel like they're represented. Ketanji Brown Jackson, Kamala Harris. I mean, there are
Karine
things.
Jean-Pierre.
Well, thank you. I mean, there are things that I think will have amazing effect as we go through history. But Ketanji Brown Jackson, I mean, that is something that has a legacy that's withstanding. And it's something that I think she's iconic now.
We've known each other for a long time.
For a long
I remember
time.
you were a CNN contributor. Short, dark hair.
Now it's all, I don't know what's going on now.
The Anita Baker kind of hairdo. Right? Remember that?
No one's ever said that before. I love Anita Baker. I love Anita Baker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so
I
good to see.
appreciate it.
I miss mixing it up with you.
I know.
You've
We did.
We had
mix
great
it up.
interviews. We went
had,
viral.
Oh yeah.
I asked you remember about Joe Biden, I think it was like 2022.
It was 2022.
And everyone's like,
Was it? Yeah, it was because I was press secretary. It had to be
it was
2022.
crazy.
Yeah. I remember because I was in the press briefing room. It was like the only interview that I gave in the press briefing room.
oh, wow.
Because I think it was raining or something outside. Yeah. But
It's a first.
it's good to see you. Congratulations to all
And
your
you as
success.
well.
Continue because it's fun watching you. I love it. One of my favorite things is when you're out in the streets.
Thank you.
It's really, truly. And so thank you for continuing to put your voice out there, for really fighting for truth and educating people. I love when you educate people in the most like graceful way. It's never.
I'm not trying to embarrass people or show that they're dumb. I'm really trying to have a conversation.
I think it's
Yeah.
helpful. So thank you.
Thank you, Karine. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never, ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.